the Auburn Blitz Podcast, your direct source for all Auburn all the time with Brett Pritchard, Faith Richardson, and Randy Lee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Blitz Podcast here on this Friday morning. We're glad that you've joined us wherever and whenever it is that you tune us in and make Auburn Blitz part of your daily Auburn intake. I'm Brett Pritchard. That's Randy Lee right there, and we're glad to see you this morning. And you can comment away as always as we go live every single morning. I know we've had a couple of days off. I've been traveling. I'm back to reality now, so welcome back, right? And again, glad to be here, and Auburn in the Super Regional hosting for the first time in school history. We'll talk about that. We've got some key official visitors on campus coming in this weekend. We'll talk about that as well. We will be on location today at Baumhauer's. Excited to be on location again as our Auburn Blitz summer fall tour continues on, and we'll be back over at Baumhauer's. Me and Faith will be there today at noon. So if you're out and about and you're in town for the Super Regional and you're going to have some lunch, come to Baumhauer's. We'd love to see you. Come by. We'll have some T-shirts and some things to give away. Looking forward to that. Randy, good to see you here on this Friday morning.
Well, I'll stick with the Baumhauer's and Byron's discussion since that's where you're going to be. I was with Todd yesterday at an Auburn Chamber board meeting, and Brett, the numbers that he gave, and maybe this is a good transition into the boom town that Auburn is right now. He said, in comparison to last May up to this May, he said we're up 30 to 40%.
You did tell him because they started working with us at Auburn.
Yeah, but the reality is that he can't get a good feel outside of it just being a boom town on what exactly is driving that traffic, because once school's out, you would think that some would fall down. But right. It's just everywhere. Everybody you talk to there is in a positive mood because the area is growing so much, and there's a residual effect to everybody. Brett, I saw some numbers also during that chamber board meeting I thought was very interesting. What I sent this to you, so I can't ask you what you would think the number would be, but here's a few numbers for the incoming Auburn freshman class.
Yep.
One, they had the highest asked enrollment of all time. I think that they had to turn away something like 25,000 applicants. So the average ACT score for an incoming freshman at Auburn is 29. The average GPA for an incoming freshman at Auburn is 4.2. Brett, those numbers are wild. That makes that degree that you and I got many moons ago just that much more valuable. And I think the more that the university, puts people in place, there's been numbers to come out for a long time that prove that Auburn, with that degree, we're paid more than any other college in the state of Alabama with a degree from anywhere else on average. And I think that number's just going up more and more as we move forward. So, look, there's a lot of winning going on. We like to talk about athletics. We used to talk a lot more about academics when we discussed sports because it was so vital that you had your grades down to even get into school.
What is that?
I made a post this week on the HSA, and I was reading through the recruiting description. I think it was a Tom Lemming recruiting description back in 97, 98-ish. So do you remember Shantua Ray that was a running back at Montevallo High School, and then he went on to play at Alabama, and he had a good career. He ended up moving over to the defensive side of the ball at Alabama, but definitely that's neither here nor there. Brett, I read so half of the article was where he stood academically. And I got to thinking back. I said, that used to be the norm, man. We used to read the superlatives, 100-meter dash, how many yards rushing, how many touchdowns, all of those key things that you need to know. But the last half was he has this on the ACT score. He's got all of his grades in place. He's going to be able to enroll at the proper time.
Because you were worried about if he was going to qualify or not. That was always a part of it.
And then you were always worried whether they were going to stay qualified for the next year, if they were going to have to sit out. Remember, basketball was always a big deal. Like, you'd have to sit out the first month or two of the season, and then you may be able to come and play the second half of the season.
Because the semester changed over in January, so you may not be eligible the first part.
So it just made me take a step back to say, gosh, I'm reading something that if today's kids, like if Braden Pritchard were to read through Shantua Ray's recruiting profile from back in the late 90s, he'd be like, what the hell is this? Who cares what his ACT score? Does anybody know if he's going to be able to come in earlier? Hell, that has it. When's the last time we had that discussion, by the way, Brett? You worked in the community college system forever. When's the last discussion you had with that?
Hadn't talked about it in years, and we've even brought it up on our shows. We said it a few years ago, said, well, I guess we all went literally one day went from talking about academic ineligibility to not even discussing it as a factor. Like that was always one of the biggest factors with kids coming in. We're talking about all these OVs right now, and we're talking about all these kids. Well, he's probably not going to qualify. I'm going to have to go to a JUCO. Does that ever come out of anybody's mouth anymore?
No.
All right. And look,
tell me how is that?
It's because nobody gives a damn. That's really it. That's really it with athletics. Nobody cares anymore about the academics.
Is there not a basic rule anywhere, though?
There's rules. There's rules, but nobody's paying attention to them. Like, man, nobody's checking anybody's grades. If they are, I mean, if they're keeping them intact, that's fine. Look, man, I'm not naive. I had somebody tell me, and this is not Auburn, so it's another school. They said, man, one particular kid on a basketball team never went to class, ever. Never had a schedule, never knew. If you told him to go walk to his classes, wouldn't be able to find him. And so it's literally, it's driven. This thing has become such a power money grab in college athletics. This is what we've been and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole today. I don't want to spend all the podcast on this. But literally, people that laugh at this and think that academics aren't important, let's remind everybody how many of these kids are going to go on to play professional sports, right? How many of these kids are going to go on to, if they're grabbing all this money in NIL, how many of them are going to actually make that when they get out if they ain't got squat to do, if they don't know how to do anything? Okay, I mean, we're not setting kids up for success post-college athletically. Not the students that are going to Auburn with the 4.2s and coming there and with a 29, 30 ACT. And I'm not saying athletes don't have that either. I'm just saying the Joe Blow student versus athlete student that came there to play a sport. They're going to go do what they got to do because they're going to class. They don't play a sport, whatever. They're there for a different reason. Like, we want all our kids to go on that are playing athletics to be pros. That ain't going to happen. So we've diminished the academic side to the point we don't even talk about it anymore. And we've heard the stories from people. Once some of these players get out, they're used to this lifestyle now, and they ain't got the means to be able to live that lifestyle anymore when they get out. So we've heard it from coaches, man. We ain't making this up. This is not Brett and Randy coming up with an analogy. This is coming out of the mouths of coaches that is concerning. It's concerning for their future.
It's just odd to me that you say that there's still rules in place.
But who's administering? Randy, the NCAA is supposed to be administering.
Yeah, but the NCAA is not checking to see if you've got that 16 ACT score.
They ain't looking like this.
That's wild. Because
the NCAA has completely become a useless organization. They have. And they're just as much to blame on themselves as anybody else because they were the power body forever. And everybody, I guess, honored that because they were afraid of them. And they didn't realize the whole time they really never had any power to begin with. And once the armor cracked with all this NIL and all the stuff that went down with the court cases, it just exploded. The armor became non-existent anymore. The NCAA was as vulnerable as any organization we've ever seen. And when we peeled back the layer of the onion, you found out there really wasn't any substance to anything they did. Why in the world did we just take the punishments that we took back in the day? All of us, all the schools that got, hammered at some point in time for doing something. I don't know. I have no answer for it. But now we know that the NCAA never really had any power to begin with. So,
well, let me spin this in a positive direction for baseball. One, and I want to bring this up to you. You watch the actions of many of the SEC coaches and coaches around the country with baseball this past weekend. And you watch the way that some of these teams play and the way that they handle themselves out there on the field. And I don't want to be the 47-year-old guy up here going that I don't want kids to have a good time. But there's a difference between having a good time and being a punk. The Georgia roster walking out there, they got one button, they got the shirt exposed. They look like they just jumped off of a penitentiary bus to come out there and play.
Where does that start? Where does that start, Randy? Where does that start?
I'm spinning this towards that. Do we have any idea, and I think we do as Auburn fans, how lucky we are to have Butch Thompson as our leader? I mean, the more removed that I get to watching other teams and the way that they're handled, and I'm not saying all of our programs have always been perfect either by the leadership that we've had. Now, I think we've had pretty good ones, but we've had some that I didn't respect. And we got some now that I don't respect as much as I respect others. But I'll tell you one thing. When you put a mic in front of Butch Thompson, just let him talk. Don't mess it up. Let him speak. It's like Coach Kleinert with golf, Brett. Sometimes you just get leaders in place. You're like, please just keep putting a mic in front of them because they make all of us look better.
And we had a punk. We had a punk as a baseball coach one time.
Oh, sure.
Gala was.
Yeah, he was about as – and we knew it when we hired him. I remember doing the program with you on Sports Call when we hired the guy. And all you had to do was dig for about 5 minutes to realize Oklahoma was cheering us and hugging us and please take this bastard away from us the entire time. We did it the first show. We knew it. Went right after he got hired. So that's poor leadership that makes those decisions. But, man, we're so lucky to have Butch Thompson. I know it's easy to say right now we got a super regional coming to town. There's going to be a massive crowd. It'll be a record-setting crowd at night at Plainsman Park, which is just a crazy nice facility. One of the new add-ons to the park that we were talking about yesterday is the 984 Club, Brett. And I know you've been in there and how much that's added to the stadium overall. And 984 miles to Omaha, and we're 2 wins away from making that a reality here coming up this weekend for 3 out of the last 6 years. I'll just kick it to you, though. I mean, he's as good a leader as we've had as far as the way that I would like my program to represent itself as we've ever had at Auburn.
No doubt about it. And I'm going to talk about Butch Thompson right after we talk about some of our partners here on the program because we couldn't do it without them each and every day. Sensa Green for air that's cool and clean. Call them Sensa Green. They are the carrier experts here in the state of Alabama, saving you thousands of dollars on new installs. So make sure you call them Sensa Green. If you need a new heating and air unit or you need your unit service, call on them. They provide outstanding customer service and glad to be part of the Auburn Blitz podcast, and they are proud supporters of Auburn Athletics. Scout Program Management, a full construction management firm located in Birmingham, Alabama, with a ton of projects going on right now across the state. One going on right here in our hometown in Alexander City with a new Benjamin Russell High School that's about 85% complete now. They just broke ground on a facility, indoor facility over in Lee County with Smith Station. They'll be handling that project. They handle tons of projects, so they'll take you from the pre-construction phase all the way to the finished product. When you're spending millions of dollars, you want a consulting construction firm that will handle it and hold people accountable. Check out Scout Program Management today. And Bunkers, located on West Glen in downtown Auburn with 50 parking spots. Can't say enough great things. They just received an award, Randy, for one of the top businesses in Auburn. I know we're not surprised by that, but if you haven't been to Bunkers, you're missing out. Go check out Bunkers. The food's outstanding. The environment's outstanding. You can go in there with your friends or your family, rent one of the the bays and play one of the 27 games available on the simulator. It's just a great place to go have a good time anytime. So go check out Bunkers there in downtown Auburn. All right, Randy, going back to Butch Thompson, I titled it The Norm for Auburn because it has become the norm for Auburn under Butch Thompson to make postseason, and not just make postseason, to go deep. 4 of the 5 super regionals Auburn's ever been in have come under his watch. So, again, Auburn made one all the way back in 1999, the first year they did the super regional. And then there was obviously a dry spell until Butch Thompson got here. And then, again, this will be the first time Auburn has ever hosted a super regional. And I think this is the 3rd time in 6 seasons Auburn's been able to reach this opportunity, and already been to 2 College World Series. So not only getting to the super regional, getting it done when you get there, and having to go on the road to somebody that's a higher seed than you and winning. So what a great opportunity. First of all, that is the norm for Auburn baseball now. And it wasn't too long ago you and I were talking about how bad our baseball program was. And, I did a little segment of last week about, and I've seen this pushed out on all different social media accounts since you and I talked about this, but how Auburn's been carrying the banner. Auburn kind of carries the banner in a lot of these sports. I know they hadn't in football, but when you look up in basketball, they just make another Final Four. In baseball, they just make another super regional and knocking on the door. This is a meat grinder conference in every sport, but Auburn seems to always find its way to the top. And so I'm not sure that Auburn really is looked at in this conference with Texas and Oklahoma now, and, of course, Alabama and Georgia and those schools as a team that would be toting a banner. But when you look outside of football, Auburn just seems to always be there.
Well, I think those programs know how well we're led and how good a direction both of them are going in. And Butch Thompson, he's been many times tried to be pulled away from Auburn. He stays loyal to Auburn, and Auburn's staying loyal to him, Brett. We're adding on to the complex. The fan support's at an all-time high. And I think putting those 2 things together in the middle of NIL and all of the money that's getting passed around, not only in football, but in other sports like baseball, that if you can get your sea legs under you right now and you can get support and you have success, then it's a lot easier, like Coach Kleinert in golf, to come back and say, look, man, y'all throw money at this thing, throw support at this. We're going to have success. It's going to be positive publicity for the university. And it's easy. It's a much easier sell. So that's what this weekend is for Auburn baseball. It's massive, Brett. It's a big money maker for the Auburn community. Us that have businesses in the Auburn community know how big of a money maker, and especially if you're in the retail, in the hotel. And I mean, you start getting outside of football season and you get weekends like this, Brett.
Because this should normally be this should just be dead as a doornail this week.
I mean, this is massive for everyone involved. And and I think people are smart enough to realize that. And I think you can build on that, Brett. But I'm looking forward to seeing the crowd. It's going to be on ESPN2. There's a lot of negative pub when Auburn wasn't on national television with those regional games this past weekend, but we'll have both there on ESPN2, and it'll be a massive crowd. I'm guessing 7,500 or so will be there. However many can be there will be there. And I saw maybe some new seating or new bleachers being on top of being added to it yesterday. And I bet Braden's missing out on this, Brett.
Well, I'll say this for him that, he hates to miss it, but those field crew guys, man, you talking about long hours.
Oh, I bet.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a tournament like this, and actually this is better than the regional. A regional tournament, man, when you got 4 teams there and you're playing, multiple games and having to get the field ready and then staying late after the last game.
A hell of a memory to miss, though.
100%.
I know. So Braden, for those of you that don't know, works on the field crew for Auburn University. He's going into turf management. Actually is interning up in Savannah this summer at a golf course. But man, you want to talk about something he would think back on this first super regional. And I'm not trying to
no, I know he's thinking about it. I know he's thinking about it.
Yeah,
100%.
but he knows he also knows how much work does have to go into having that regional. The super regional won't be anywhere near as much effort that the regional was, but
you'll just have to get the field ready one time, yeah. You know, and then get it ready for the next day. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I know that I haven't really talked to him about that, but I know that he's definitely missing out on this opportunity for sure. Here's what Coastal Carolina's walking into this weekend. Auburn's 28-6 at home this season. It's pretty dang impressive. That ties the most wins since 2018, and it's also fourth in program history. So now, if Auburn can win 2 games this weekend, which means they win the Super Regional and they get to 30, it'll be a record for home wins. Okay, so a lot of things on the line here for Auburn. Again, playing really, really good. And also want to mention this. You know, what gets lost in the shuffle is all these national seeds, and Auburn gets the number 4 seed. And, of course, as soon as you see it come out, everybody, well, I can't believe they got a, 4. How did they get a 4 seed? And they're the only team up there with not 40 wins. They had 38 wins and blah, blah, and all this kind of stuff. And then they're only the 2 highest seeds left in the whole tournament are Arkansas and Auburn, the 3 and 4 seeds. Again, Vanderbilt and Texas are gone. A lot of other higher seeds are gone. But the 3 and the 4 seeds lead into Super Regional weekend as the highest 2 seeds, and Auburn's the 4th seed, Arkansas. And I told you this last week going into regionals when we were going down the list of all the seeds. I said I thought Arkansas is the best team in the country, and I did, and I still do. I still think top to bottom they're the most complete team. Does that mean they're going to win it? No, it doesn't. But I do think, and you talking about a guy that's gotten Arkansas there time after time after time, Van Horn. He's continued to keep Arkansas at the top of the – but I don't think Auburn's very far behind them. And I really don't. I think 3 and 4 seed may be really appropriate now that the dust settles. But now you got a Coastal Carolina team coming in here very confident, man. Won 21 straight games.
Actually, 22 straight games now, and they're 51-11 overall. Jim and I broke this thing down every which way you could on Tuesday, Brett. Home run power numbers are heavily in favor of Auburn. I think we've got 25 home runs separation. I think we're at 87. They're at 62. The ERA, which you've got to really, and Jim did a good job with this, Brett. It'd be worth you going back and watching. But Jim broke down the matchups that Coastal Carolina have, who they played to get to those 22 consecutive wins. And it's not that you don't know parity's good in college baseball, but you've also got to know what the meat grinder was that Auburn went through in comparison to what you see with these wins. Very few wins on this Coastal Carolina 51 wins that you've got there that are against teams that would be considered ranked teams or national seed teams. They're not. They haven't had the chance. The matchups that they've had against teams that you would consider some of the best, i.e. the Wake Forest and the North Carolinas and the other teams like that, Alabama earlier in the year, they got drummed several times by some of these teams. So it's not to knock them. They do have, I think, a team 3.4 ERA, which is very impressive. I don't care who you're playing against. That's impressive. But Auburn, get good pitching, keep the power numbers going the way that we have, find ways. I think they doubled us up on steals, but Auburn's not manufacturing runs by steals. We're not trying to run into outs when you're hitting the long ball the way that Auburn is this year. And so that's understood. But I don't know if any other stats kind of popped out to you, Brett, but those were a few to me. And, the more that you do look into seeing 20-plus consecutive wins, you've really got to pay attention to who those wins are against, though, I think.
You do. No, you definitely have to look at who a team's played. Mm-hmm. I mean, because all records aren't created equal. And when you look at Auburn's record, and Auburn didn't draw a lot of the bottom tier of the conference, by the way. All right. So you think about the teams Auburn had to play, and again, your schedule varies and it differs every year. sometimes you get to grab 2 or 3 of the teams that are at the bottom. Auburn didn't play Missouri this year, and some other teams. So Auburn now Auburn didn't face some of the other teams that are really good too. So it kind of ebbs and flows. But overall, when you make it through the SEC, you've done something, and especially as high as ranked as Auburn is. You talked about the pitch, and Jacob Morrison is obviously their ace. He's 11-0. He's got a 1.9 ERA. Between him and Cameron Flukie and Riley Elkoff, they have almost 300 strikeouts between them. So again, their records are unbelievable because they ain't lost many games. So there can't be very many losses attached to any of these guys' names. But it's going to come down to pitching. These tournaments always come down to pitching. And Auburn, again, Cam Tilley has struggled the last couple of outings. Not going to even fool with that tonight. Going to go with Sam Duttons. It is extremely important if Auburn to win this super regional, they win tonight. I really feel that way. I don't know if Coastal Carolina has named their pitcher yet, if it's going to be Morrison or if it's going to be Flukie. But I'm just telling you, man, I really feel like when you got Sam Dutton on the mound, Auburn expects to win. And if they can get to Coastal Carolina's pitching early, like Auburn's been able to do in Plainsman Park against teams like LSU and Alabama and some of these other teams, that they can get to them early and get them into their bullpen, it sets up really well for Auburn's chances.
Well, it's power numbers. When you can hit 2-run homers, 3-run homers, you can add to that scoring total that way. And I think Auburn's got the best baseball player in the country right now. And I know I'm biased, but I haven't seen anyone.
Well, it's not a stretch, man. It's not a stretch.
And you really need that. You think back a few years ago when Sonny D was going the way that he was for Auburn, that really helped that Auburn team, having someone that was swinging the bat that was so hot. And Mike Irish has been that way since he showed up at Auburn, but he's really been that way this year. And that's important for him, Brett, because you would like to plant your legacy at Auburn University. I think he's got an outstanding opportunity to move on to MLB and have a great career. He just looks the part. He can play multiple positions, which makes him valuable for teams. 100%. So he's proven that. But Brett, where do you fit in the folklore of Auburn baseball is going to be, a lot of that will be determined this weekend. You got opportunities if you're Ike Irish, and I don't want to just put it on him, but you got opportunities if you're him, with all eyes on Plainsman Park and all Auburn fans paying attention to baseball and knowing what he's done since he's been there, that if you have one of those special series, then, that's how statues get built, my friend. That's how All-Americans are claimed and numbers get retired, is when you have big-time series like this. So I'm really cheering for him. I want, when you get a special player like Janai Broome we had for basketball this year, when you get a special player like Ike Irish, you want them to perform at their best when the opportunity presents itself. And that's this weekend if you're an Auburn baseball fan. So I'll be cheering for Ike Irish as hard as possible.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. Love, he epitomizes Auburn baseball. I don't know that there's been a better one in Auburn baseball history. I mean, just has ridden the wave of inconsistency. Again, last year wasn't the best year for Auburn baseball. But, in the world of NIL and transfer portal and all that, it'd be easy to pack your bags when LSU gives you a call. It'd be easy to pack your bags if, somebody else gives you a call, and he stayed the course. And I'm sure Auburn was very loyal to him. All right, so over the next 2 days, you're going to have the super regionals get started. There'll be 4 of them start today. And you'll have Arizona at the 5th seed, North Carolina. That will start at 11 o'clock this morning. So getting things started early, and then Miami and Louisville. What about Miami, man? It's been a while. They've kind of fallen off a little bit, but went over to Southern Miss and won that regional with Alabama and Southern Miss in that regional. Go ahead and win, and so now they go to Louisville. That game will start at 2 o'clock. Then Florida State will go all the way to Corvallis, where Auburn's had to go before, and that's a 9 and an 8 seed taking on each other. And then you'll have us in Coastal Carolina tonight at 8 o'clock, of course. Get ready for another 3-hour affair on these college baseball games. But that's the schedule for today. And then tomorrow you'll have Murray State and Duke starting their super regional. They'll be a Saturday, Sunday, Monday if needed. West Virginia at LSU. That's the number 6 seed LSU. You've got Tennessee and Arkansas facing each other. So one SEC team will be gone because they're having to play one another. And then UTSA and UCLA will be taking on each other. The Roadrunners are 47 and 13 heading out to Los Angeles to take on UCLA, who comes in as the highest seeded team to make the tournament at 15. So just your thoughts on any of those matchups. Look, only 4 SEC teams standing out of 13. So that's another thing Auburn should be proud of, is they've got an opportunity here. They got an opportunity. At most, only 3 SEC teams are going to be able to move forward because Tennessee and Arkansas are playing each other. So LSU will play West Virginia. We'll play Coastal Carolina. I mean, here we are again, sitting on the verge of a World Series.
Just a parity in baseball is the first thought that pops in my mind. You know, I mean, football, you can't get this. You know, you can't build a football team to consistently beat the Alabamas and Georgias and hopefully Auburn moving forward. If you're Coastal Carolina and other teams, you can beat us when we're down, but you're not going to play for a championship with one of those programs. But in baseball, you can. And that's the part of the sport that I think people appreciate, Brett. They really do. You know, you string together 2 or 3 really good arms that go out there and can keep you in baseball games, and you put a few power hitters along with just a well-oiled machine out there in the field, and that's how a baseball team's built. And there's some great coaches out there that know how to get it done. I get the feel that Butch Thompson's just getting better and better as he ages with this Auburn program. You're going to see a rabid fan base like I don't think you've ever seen at Auburn. We've had some great moments, but this weekend lines up to be the best of all the great ones. And so I'm excited for it. If I didn't have my final basketball tournament of the summer coming up this weekend, then I can promise you I would be out there with bells on. But we're going to get through our last basketball tournament that happens to be in Auburn. Hey, the Bruce Pearl basketball camp start. Here's another key. My son heading off to that on Sunday, and so that's kind of something that's jumped up. You got a lot of kids starting to come in for basketball camp, but you got baseball going on. So could be a little bit of a mix-up on parking and stuff going on there. So we'll
take care of it in 2 games and not have to worry about it.
There's a big block. I don't want to call it a block party, but you know, one of those chamber events going on in downtown Auburn tonight. They'll have all of the retail shops open a little longer, and there's specials going on. So if you're coming into Auburn, you'll see some downtown traffic blocked off. It's because of that. So you got the baseball game going on at 8. You got this before. That there's going to be massive crowd. Just think about that, Brett. What if you owned a business down there? You're hoping for a big, you know, early June night in Auburn without the students around, and then you have this coming in. I mean, you got to be thrilled to death.
Major
for what's going on in Auburn right now.
Yeah, major shot in the arm. Usually it's Deadsville this time of year for sure. Let's talk about some more of our partners real quick. Sure Shot in Alexander City, right here on Highway 280. Firearms, apparel, hunting. I get all of my outdoor apparel and firearms from Sure Shot. Give them a call, 256-329-0080. Love Scott Watson, man. He's a great guy. If you're looking to learn how to use a firearm, he has the firearm safety classes. Don't just go buy you a gun and think you're an expert. Go get taught how to use it correctly. But all of my stuff comes from Sure Shot. All of yours needs to come from Sure Shot as well. Go check them out on Highway 280 in Alexander City. And Oliver Ross, our good friend Mark Gilliland, one of the top-notch bartending services anywhere you'll find. So if you're at a fraternity or sorority and you're looking for somebody to handle your parties, If you've got a big convention going up to 20,000 people, if you got a private party at your home that only has 10 to 15 to 20 people, Oliver Ross can be the company to come help you out. You trying to entertain everybody. You don't need to be fixing everybody's drinks and spilling it all over the place and make yourself look stupid. Call on Oliver Ross, and they'll take care of that. A full-service bartending service right here in the local area. They will take care of you. Closing out here on the program today, again, Auburn baseball obviously is front and center, but there'll be some more official visitors coming in for Auburn this weekend. Faith and I will talk more about that, Randy, at Baumhauer's today. We want to remind everybody we will be on location at Baumhauer's today at lunch for our noon show. So we're excited about that opportunity. Again, come out and see us. Frequent Baumhauer's, great food. We'll get over to Byron's as well at some point in time in the near future, but looking forward to being out at Baumhauer's today. There's a guy that I wanted to talk about real quick. And I know we talk a lot about wide receivers because this wide receiver room for Auburn is phenomenal. But Auburn is targeting a guy that's right up the road at Booker T. Washington and Marquez Daniel. Faith interviewed him a few weeks ago. We went over to Tuskegee. He'll be in this OV visiting weekend at Auburn. It's between Auburn and Florida. And here's the common theme that I wanted to share with you on this. Is Auburn is up against Florida for a lot of guys. There is like, if you look at Vodney Cleveland, he's probably an Auburn, Florida guy. Marquez Daniel, it's down to two teams, Auburn, Florida. I looked at another kid just a little bit ago, and they said, oh, it looks like it may be a Florida battle for Auburn to win this kid. I mean, it's just odd that there's a lot of back and forth between Auburn and Florida. I mean, we've always battled Florida like every other SEC team, but the commonality since I've been able to dive more into recruiting this year than I ever have before and really look at these, Auburn's battling Florida, man. Billy Napier is tightening up the screws, and he feels the heat too down there, but I'm seeing a lot of predictions for Florida to make the daggone playoff this year, Randy, and they got a brutal schedule. That's how much people are starting to believe in Florida and Billy Napier with the way they closed last year, and with DJ Lagway coming back this year. I mean, they're hot on a lot of people's list right now.
Well, two quick takes. I think that's because there's a lot of question marks this year going at the quarterback for all of our schools, including Auburn. And look, we like the ones in our room, and a lot of the other schools, including Alabama, like the ones in their room, but they haven't proven it at the school yet. And so Florida's got that. But another thing for Florida and Auburn right now, and, I don't want to speculate. I'm not the recruitnik that you and Luke are, but I'll just take a stab at it. We know we've got to recruit the Southeast. It's not that Alabama and Georgia don't know that they need to recruit the Southeast, but Alabama recruited the state of Alabama as poorly as I've seen in my lifetime this past year, and they finished in the top 3 in recruiting, Brett. Auburn and Florida can't finish in the top 5 in recruiting without recruiting our home base exceptionally.
100%.
So I don't know what that says about our two programs, but all I know is we know, where our bread's buttered, and we're doing a very, very good job of trying to make sure that we're going out there and doing it. And I think that Napier's doing the exact same thing down at Florida. And so if you're a fan of either program, you can't complain about the effort as far as recruiting goes. You just can't. Now, both programs are in a situation where we all think that we should take that next step this year. So both programs and both coaches especially have got to go out there and not only take these great recruits that they've been able to pull in and put these rosters together, but they got to find wins out there on the field. So we're in a lot of the same boat all the way around. Florida and Auburn feel very much alike right now, Brett. And I don't know, look, I'm an Auburn fan, and I pay attention to Auburn players, and I know the kids that we get, especially the ones from Alabama, way better than I know who Florida gets. But I don't know which one of us are in a better spot to make the next step for right now. I think that's probably one of the top storylines going into SEC play. Would you agree with that this year?
Oh, yeah.
Florida and Auburn dynamic.
Yeah. But I can tell you this, the fan bases at both schools are they're on the cliff.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, And in Florida, the expectations are no different than they are here at Auburn. Like you just said, I think the pressure. But I'll say this: we have an unknown situation again at quarterback. I don't think Florida goes into the season with one of the strongest quarterbacks in the country, and I think you just mentioned that as being maybe a difference. And now their schedule is brutal. Let me just say that it's brutal. If they win 8 games or 9 games with this schedule, you better watch out, man. Florida will be a threat in the playoff. They'll absolutely deserve to make the playoff if they win 9 games with this schedule. And again, Billy Napier will be off and running, and will have narrowly escaped being fired. Now, if he comes back and goes 6-6 this year, I think it's it. I think after 4 years of that and what he's done at Florida will be enough.
We're in the exact same boat.
It's the same situation. Another guy that's coming in. I won't go through. We'll go through the list today at lunch for everybody. So make sure you tune in. But big time and a big man. And it's like Jason Caldwell said, this is the biggest human being he's ever been around. And he said he's not fat. He said he's lean and he's muscle. 6'6", almost 6'7", 345-pound Emmanuel Iheanacho from Baltimore, Maryland. He's come out and definitely said Oregon is his school that's leading. He's also got LSU there as one of his top schools, but he's got Auburn right under that, and that's why he's coming to Auburn this weekend. Can Auburn make a big enough splash with him to crack the armor on him in Oregon and possibly LSU? I don't know. But this guy, Randy, is what you want in a left in a tackle. 6'6" and a half, 345 pound, just a big old man, and just strong. And again, they don't make them like this every day. So it's definitely a priority for everybody. I know everybody's got him, but he's a 5-star offensive tackle coming into Auburn this weekend that Auburn's going to put the dog and pony show on for.
Well, you can't. Well, you don't have to put on a dog and pony show. I mean, you can't replicate the atmosphere that he's about to walk into this weekend. Not at this time of year. I mean, first off, Auburn's never had it. Not at this time of year. You don't have a super regional. You don't have a rabid fan base that's showing how passionate they are for not only football but for other sports. You don't have a student body and players. I watch Plainsman Park. Man, it is a who's who of Auburn athletics showing their face at Plainsman Park right now. It is the place to be if you're an Auburn fan. So he's walking into a great atmosphere, and I hope that you take advantage of those opportunities because they don't come along all the time.
No doubt about it. All right, let's see. Just win. Justin said, "Give me 8+." Look, that's all any of us are caring about at this point. All right, to finish up here, a couple more partners, good friends of ours here, Jake Bartall with Old Number One Customs. Jake will be coming out to my house next week to look at our master bathroom and looking at renovation project there. So go check out Old Number One Customs, man. He does tremendous work, and as Faith always says every day, don't DIY it for 2 years when you can hire a professional to do it in 2 weeks. And they'll come out and get it done, whether it's a kitchen, bathroom, outdoor area like a fire pit and patio area. Go check them out online, Old Number One Customs. They do a tremendous job. Beautiful stuff. 334-752-6162. And JFA Blue Plumbing, also his company, installing the Home Atlas Water Duo filtration system for $1,599 out the door. And you can't put a price on your health. It's a must in your home. So go check out JFA Blue Plumbing. They'll do financing for you. But again, that's a very small amount to pay for your health. 844-JFA Blue's the number there. Everybody can remember that one. So appreciate Jake and all his companies there being part of our program here on the Auburn Blitz.
Well, I cheer on friends of mine that got an entrepreneurial spirit. And you talked about Mark Gilliland, Brett. He's got he does high-end package stores and cigar shops. and he's got 2 more coming to the market. I don't think Mark would mind me saying that. One of them's over in Moore's Mill. So be on the lookout for Mark. Grain and Leaf is his, package store that's right there at Our Town, coming down 63. And then Jake, he'll be in 2 or 3 more businesses this year. I know he's got the bug. When you catch it, you open them up. You hope and pray that they work out. If they don't, you just go to the next one, don't you, Brett? We've been really good at that for a very long time. So
check them off.
Patronize these friends of ours, and make sure to come out. I know a lot of you are already patronizing this place, but Kevin Tudhope's doing great work over in the Auburn market, and you saw Coach Tubbs over at Byron, so that was national publicity for Byron's again. In the Auburn market, but y'all will be out at Baumhauer's today at lunch, and I'm sure you'll be talking baseball. Brett, y'all got any guests out there with you today?
Well, Jason was going to be, but not going to be able to come out today, so we'll catch up with Jason on Monday there. So we're hoping to have Jason out there, but not able to make it today. But always thankful to Jason and Christian and those guys at 24/7 for being with us and providing us some great information, and always willing to jump on whenever we want them on here. So again, but we'll have a packed show. We'll just have make sure you stop by and see us. We'll be out there, and we'll also turn around on Monday and be at Lake Martin Pizza in Davil. So we got a busy next several days. We'll be at Lake Martin Pizza on Monday on 49, not the one on 63, on 49. It just newly renovated, beautiful Lake Martin Pizza down there. Appreciate Brett and Stacy as well. So having fun on our summer and our fall. We'll do this all the way into football season, be at a different location most of the time on Fridays, but sometimes due to special events and all for some of these businesses, we'll be there whenever they want us there. So again, a lot of fun, a lot of things going on, like Randy said, in the Auburn, Opelika area, and we're glad to be part of it here with Auburn Blitz. That's going to wrap us up here for this Friday. Again, we'll be back with you at noon here in just a few hours for the Auburn Blitz noon show. And again, always appreciate all of you that have gone out and subscribed to our channel. If you haven't done that yet, please go do that. Like this video. We appreciate all of you out there. Hope everybody has a wonderful day out there, and a big old War Eagle.